Most people worry about porch pirates stealing their stuff. But after going through these 69 complaints, you will realize the real danger is the guy wearing the uniform. We are talking about drivers who use packages as frisbees, hide electronics in active trash compactors, and literally fight wild turkeys on your lawn. Forget about handle with care. This is a masterclass in how to destroy everything you order. 1. You know when the delivery notification says left in a safe place? Well, one homeowner found out that their carrier's definition of safe was the garbage can. It seemed like a clever hiding spot to keep porch pirates away until the garbage truck rolled up an hour later. The customer literally paid for express shipping just to send their new sneakers straight to the local landfill. I guess technically the package was safe, right up until it was compacted into a cube of municipal waste. 2. We need to talk about the ninja skills required to leave a "we missed you" slip without actually knocking. Thousands of people swear they were sitting in total silence, waiting for a package, only to find that dreaded sticker on the door later. The driver somehow tiptoed up the driveway, applied the sticker with the touch of a feather, and vanished like a ghost. It is honestly impressive that they put more effort into being stealthy than they did into actually delivering the box. 3. There is a special place in delivery hell for drivers who think fragile is just a suggestion. One music lover ordered a rare vintage vinyl record, and the mail carrier decided the best way to fit it into the mailbox was to fold it in half. Yes, they folded a rigid vinyl record. The customer opened the box to find their limited edition album snapped cleanly in two. I am not sure what kind of superhuman grip strength that mailman had, but he definitely was not a fan of classic rock. 4. Sometimes the proof of delivery photo reveals a lot more than just where the package was left. A woman received a notification that her package was handed directly to a resident. She checked the photo, and sure enough, there was her golden retriever, looking guilty with cardboard shreds in his teeth. The driver didn't even try to hide it. He just took a picture of the dog eating the mail and marked the job as done. At least the dog looked happy about the new chew toy. 5. You would think a giant box covered in heavy lifting and fragile stickers would earn at least a shred of respect, but some drivers clearly missed that day of training. A home security camera captured a guy casually launching a 40-pound box of cat litter from his truck onto a porch like he was clinching an NBA championship with a three-point shot. Predictably, the box exploded on impact, turning the entire front entrance into a gritty, clay-filled wasteland. It looked less like a delivery and more like a beach party gone horribly wrong. The driver didn't even flinch. He just stared at the chaos for a second, gave a "not my problem" shrug, and drove off into the sunset. 6. There is a terrifying trend where drivers stack packages directly against outward opening screen doors. It creates a perfect trap. You try to leave your house, but you are physically barricaded inside by your own consumerism. One guy had to climb out of a window just to move the boxes of bulk paper towels he ordered, so his family could use the front door. It is like a modern-day siege, except the enemy is Amazon and the weapon is discount toilet paper. 7. Let us appreciate the art of the illusion. A customer came home to find a massive, 4-foot-tall box sitting on their porch with a tiny welcome mat placed delicately on top of it. The driver apparently thought that throwing a 2-pound piece of rubber on top of a giant appliance box made it invisible to thieves. It is the delivery equivalent of a toddler covering their eyes and thinking you cannot see them. Points for creativity, but 0 points for camouflage. 8. A terrified resident called the postal service because their mail carrier was screaming at a turkey in the front yard. It turns out the bird was aggressively chasing the carrier every single day, and the carrier finally snapped. The customer looked out the window to see a uniformed federal employee having a full-blown standoff with a wild bird. The mail was eventually delivered, but only after the turkey was distracted by a neighbor. Neither rain nor snow nor gloom of night, but apparently turkeys are a deal-breaker. 9. Why is it that you have to sign for a $5 cable, but they will leave a $2,000 laptop sitting on the sidewalk in plain view? The logic is completely backwards. People constantly complain about rushing home to sign for something worthless, only to find their expensive electronics soaking in a puddle because no signature was required. It feels like the delivery companies are just spinning a giant wheel to decide which packages get security and which ones get abandoned. 10. An apartment complex resident filed a complaint after watching their mail carrier systematically open everyone's holiday cards in the lobby. The guy was not even stealing money. He was just reading the family updates and critiquing the photos out loud. The resident recorded him laughing at someone's ugly Christmas sweater before sealing the envelope back up with tape. It gives a whole new meaning to the idea that the post office is a part of the community. He was just trying to stay in the loop. 11. Nothing says summer delivery quite like ordering a set of expensive, hand-carved decorative candles and receiving a single, unified block of multicolored wax. One unfortunate customer opened their box to find that the delivery truck had apparently doubled as a mobile sauna. The candles had completely liquefied during transit and then hardened into a modern art masterpiece at the bottom of the cardboard box. The best part? The delivery company refused the refund claim, arguing that the item was technically still there, just in a slightly different format. 12. Here is a nightmare scenario for anyone who values their privacy. A stay-at-home mom was in her kitchen when she heard the front door open, followed by heavy footsteps walking right into her living room. It wasn't a burglar, it was a delivery driver who just decided that unlocking the door and placing the package on the sofa was part of the premium service. He literally shouted, "Amazon!" like he was announcing his arrival at a surprise party, dropped the box, and walked out. The level of audacity here is absolutely off the charts. 13. You have to admire the sheer laziness of some of these delivery strategies. One homeowner found a note on their door saying, "Package delivered to secure location." They searched the porch, the bushes, and the garage but found nothing. Finally, they looked up. The driver had thrown the package onto the second-story balcony where it was now sitting precariously on the railing, ready to fall. It takes significantly more effort to launch a box 20 feet into the air than to just set it down. So I guess we should be impressed by his arm strength. 14. Imagine planning a nice Sunday barbecue, firing up the grill, and suddenly smelling the distinct aroma of burning plastic and cardboard. That is exactly what happened to a guy who didn't realize his mail carrier had decided the Weber grill was the perfect hiding spot for a bundle of magazines and a small parcel. The carrier didn't leave a note, didn't knock, just silently turned the barbecue into an incinerator. By the time the guy opened the lid, his mail was literally toast, and the burgers were definitely ruined. 15. We have all seen tracking updates that make no sense, but this one takes the cake. A customer was tracking a package that went from New York to California, which is fine, except the destination was in New Jersey. The package literally flew over his house, traveled 3,000 miles in the wrong direction, toured the West Coast for a week, and then slowly made its way back. It is like the package went on a better vacation than the guy who paid for it. The carbon footprint of that one toothbrush must be absolutely massive. 16. Sometimes the "we missed you" slip is practically a confession of guilt. One resident found a delivery attempt notice stuck to their door that simply said "too heavy" in the comments section. The driver didn't even try to bring the box to the door. He just decided in the truck that today was not the day for cardio. You have to appreciate the honesty, but it is pretty bold to tell a customer that you're just not in the mood to do the one thing your job description requires you to do. 17. Security cameras are the ultimate lie detectors for lazy couriers. A homeowner watched a live feed of a postal worker walking up the driveway with a "sorry we missed you" note already in his hand. He didn't have a package. He didn't ring the doorbell. He just stuck the note on the door and sprinted back to the truck like he was ding-dong ditching. The homeowner opened the door and yelled, but the guy was already peeling out of the driveway. It is purely performative delivery at this point. 18. Getting a package delivered to a neighbor is annoying, but it is much worse when your neighbor has zero morals. A woman got a notification that her clothing order was delivered to a neighbor, but the neighbor denied it. 2 days later, she saw that same neighbor walking down the street wearing the exact limited edition dress she had ordered. It takes a special kind of nerve to steal someone's package and then model the stolen goods right in front of their face. That is not just theft. That is a fashion statement and a declaration of war. 19. Picture this. You are driving behind a mail truck on a highway, and suddenly, hundreds of letters start flying out of the back door like confetti in a parade. This actually happened on a busy interstate where the back door of the truck flew open, scattering tax returns, birthday cards, and bills across 4 lanes of traffic. It looked like a scene from a movie, except the only thing exploding was people's personal data. Drivers were literally dodging utility bills at 60 miles per hour. 20. We have to discuss the baffling geometry of porch placement. A homeowner watched their Ring camera as a driver walked up to a massive, covered, bone-dry porch during a rainstorm. Instead of placing the electronics box in the dry area 2 feet away, the driver carefully set it on the very edge of the step, exactly where the gutter was overflowing. It wasn't an accident. It was a calculated decision to ensure the package got the maximum amount of water damage possible. It feels purely personal. 21. Why do delivery drivers think that glass doors are indestructible force fields? A business owner reviewed security footage after finding the glass pane of his front door shattered. The video showed a courier casually tossing a heavy box of printer paper toward the door from 5 feet away. The box hit the glass corner first, shattering the entire door into a million pieces. The driver just froze, looked at the destruction, and then slowly backed away to his van without leaving the package. 22. Dealing with animal interference is a valid excuse, unless the animal in question is a house cat looking out a window. A customer received a notification that their mail couldn't be delivered due to a dangerous animal. Confused, they checked their porch camera. The beast was their lazy, overweight tabby cat sleeping on the windowsill inside the house. Apparently, the mail carrier made eye contact with the cat through the glass and decided it was just too risky to approach the mailbox that day. 23. It is genuinely baffling how a package can arrive looking like it was a prop in an action movie. One music enthusiast ordered a guitar, and the box arrived with a distinct boot-shaped footprint right in the center, crushing the wood. It wasn't just dropped. Someone had literally stomped on it with significant force. It raises so many questions about what goes on in those sorting facilities. Was the guitar fighting back? Did it owe the driver money? The level of violence directed at a musical instrument is frankly disturbing. 24. Let's talk about the absolute panic of ordering live insects through the mail. A reptile owner ordered crickets for his lizard, but the box arrived crushed and significantly lighter than it should have been. The delivery driver handed it over with a weird look on his face. Turns out, the box had ruptured in the truck, and hundreds of crickets had escaped. Somewhere out there, there is a delivery van that is permanently chirping. The driver didn't even say anything. He just wanted to get away from the plague he was carrying. 25. You know your delivery driver is having a bad day when they use your lawn as a driveway. A homeowner woke up to find massive, muddy tire ruts carving a deep semicircle through their perfectly manicured front yard. The driver had decided that backing out of the driveway was too much work, so he just drove a 3-ton truck across the wet grass to make a U-turn. It looked like a monster truck rally had taken place on the lawn, all to deliver a $5 charging cable. 26. Sometimes the universe just conspires against you. A guy ordered a new smartphone, and the driver decided to hide it under the doormat to prevent theft. That sounds thoughtful, right? Well, he placed the mat directly over the package, creating a noticeable hump. When the homeowner's wife came home carrying groceries, she didn't see the hump, tripped over the hidden phone, and crushed the screen with her knee while simultaneously dropping the eggs. So, they ended up with a broken phone, a bruised knee, and an omelet on the porch. 27. You have to love the creativity of the signed for buy notification. A confused homeowner checked their tracking status, which claimed the package was signed by front desk. The problem? They live in a single-story farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. There is no front desk, no receptionist, and definitely no doorman. Unless the raccoons on the porch have started a concierge service and learned how to hold a pen, that driver just completely fabricated a corporate infrastructure for a private residence. 28. Welcome to the absolute purgatory known as the distribution loop. One customer watched their package travel between 2 sorting facilities in the same state for 3 entire weeks. It would arrive at Hub A, depart for Hub B, arrive at Hub B, and immediately depart back to Hub A. It was like watching a game of postal ping pong where the ball is your birthday present. The tracking history was 40 pages long, detailing a journey of 0 miles. It is pure chaos disguised as logistics. 29. There is a special kind of irony in destroying the very object designed to receive the mail. A resident came home to find their brick mailbox completely demolished, reduced to a pile of rubble on the sidewalk. Sitting neatly on top of the destruction was a "We missed you" slip. The driver had backed into the mailbox, destroyed it, and then decided, well, since there is no mailbox, I technically cannot deliver the mail. It is a level of logic that is both undeniable and completely infuriating. 30. Bureaucracy at the post office is designed to make you question your own sanity. A guy filed a claim for a lost package worth $300. The official response: the claim was denied because the tracking showed delivered. But here's the kicker. The tracking showed it was delivered to a zip code 3 states away. When he pointed this out, they told him to contact the recipient in that state to retrieve it. So, according to them, it is now his job to solve a mystery across state lines. Unbelievable. 31. Let's talk about the access problem excuse on a perfect summer day. A customer waiting for urgent medication got a notification stating, "Delivery attempted. No access to delivery location." He was sitting on his front porch the entire time. The driveway was empty, the gate was open, the sun was shining. The only barrier was apparently the driver's desire to actually do their job. It is maddening because you cannot argue with a system that simply invents invisible roadblocks to justify laziness. 32. Ordering meal kits is a gamble, but it shouldn't be a health hazard. A family returned from a weekend trip to find their box of raw chicken and fish had been delivered 3 days early. The driver, ignoring the massive perishable warnings, hid the box behind a bush in direct sunlight. By the time they found it, the box was not just warm, it was moving. The smell was a biological weapon. It was a total disaster that required a hazmat suit to clean up. 33. Sometimes the tracking photo proves the driver has absolutely no idea where they are. A woman received a delivered photo showing her package sitting on a generic concrete step. She doesn't have concrete steps, she has a wooden deck. She posted the photo on her neighborhood Facebook group, and it turned out the driver had delivered it to a house 4 streets over. It became a neighborhood scavenger hunt where everyone had to go outside and match their porch to the grainy evidence photo. 34. You know it is a bad day when the delivery truck becomes a landscaping vehicle. A homeowner with a circular driveway watched in horror as a delivery van tried to cut the corner, drove directly through a prize-winning rose garden, and got stuck in the soft mud. The driver then had the audacity to ask the homeowner for a shovel to dig the truck out. They literally destroyed the garden and then asked the victim to help hide the evidence. The nerve is honestly impressive. 35. The refused by addressee status is the ultimate gaslighting move. A man stayed home from work specifically to sign for a computer monitor. At 4 p.m., he refreshed the page. Delivery attempted, refused by customer. He was sitting 10 feet from the door. No one knocked, no one rang the bell. The driver just drove past, marked it as refused, and went home. Now the system thinks the customer is the problem, and he has to explain that he did not, in fact, reject the thing he spent all day waiting for. 36. We need to discuss the customs inspection nightmare. A collector ordered a rare sealed vintage action figure from overseas. It arrived with opened for inspection tape all over it. That is fine, safety first. But the agent hadn't just opened the shipping box. They had ripped open the actual blister pack of the collectible, destroying its value instantly, and then just stuffed the loose figure back in with some packing peanuts. They took a $1,000 item and turned it into a $5 toy. It is pure vandalism sanctioned by the government. 37. Imagine finding your package inside your house, but you didn't let anyone in. One customer came home to find a large box sitting in the middle of their hallway. The doors were locked, the windows were closed. It turned out the driver had found the spare key under the mat, which is terrifying on its own, unlocked the door, put the package inside, and locked it back up. While the intent was helpful, the realization that a stranger let themselves into your home is absolute nightmare fuel. 38. Sometimes the instructions are followed too literally, with disastrous results. A customer added a delivery note saying, "Please throw over the back gate." He meant a small packet of documents. The driver, however, applied this logic to a 40-pound box of dumbbell weights. He heaved the heavy box over the 6-foot fence, where it landed directly on the customer's glass patio table. The table shattered into a million pieces. Technically, the driver followed instructions, but common sense was completely absent. 39. The sheer panic of losing a passport in the mail is unmatched. A woman sent her passport for renewal with expedited shipping for a honeymoon trip. The tracking simply stopped updating at departed regional facility. When she called, the agent casually told her, "It's probably behind a conveyor belt somewhere, it happens." No urgency, no apology. Just a casual admission that her ability to leave the country was currently gathering dust in a machine. She missed her flight. Total chaos. 40. Signature forgery is rampant, but usually they try to make it look real. Not this time. A customer checked their proof of delivery for an expensive camera lens. The signature line just said, "Bush." The driver had thrown the package into a bush and signed the shrubbery's name as the recipient. I am not sure if the bush is legally allowed to accept packages, but according to the delivery company, that shrub is now the proud owner of a Canon lens. 41. Here is a masterclass in passive-aggressive delivery. A resident had a sign on their door that said, "Please do not knock, baby sleeping." The driver read the sign, respected it, and then proceeded to drop the heavy package from waist height onto the wooden porch with a thunderous boom. It sounded like a cannon went off. The baby woke up screaming, the dog started barking, and the driver walked away looking completely innocent. He technically didn't knock, but he definitely woke the neighborhood. 42. You have to wonder what goes through a driver's mind when they deliver to a secure locker that is full. Instead of coming back the next day, a driver forced a square package into a slightly smaller rectangular locker slot. He jammed it in so tight that the metal door bowed outward. The customer couldn't pull it out. The apartment manager had to use a crowbar to pry the locker open, destroying the box in the process. It was like the package was cemented in there for eternity. 43. There is a special kind of lost and found that only happens in the North. A customer reported a missing package in December, even though it was marked delivered. They finally found it 3 months later during the spring thaw. The driver had simply tossed the white box into a snowbank by the driveway. It had been sitting there, frozen in a block of ice like a prehistoric artifact, until the sun finally revealed it in April. Talk about cold storage. 44. We need to talk about the ecological disaster that is modern packaging. A customer ordered a single, tiny watch battery. What arrived was a box large enough to hold a microwave. Inside that box was 20 feet of brown paper, a layer of bubble wrap, another smaller box, and finally, the battery. It is like a Russian nesting doll of waste. You have to wonder if the packer was just bored or if they are actively trying to destroy the rainforest one cardboard box at a time. 45. The vacation hold service is supposed to keep your mail safe, not advertise that your home is empty. A family left for 2 weeks and filled out the proper forms to hold their mail. They returned to find their mailbox literally vomiting letters onto the street. The carrier had ignored the request completely and just kept stuffing mail in until it created a paper pile on the ground. It was basically a neon sign for burglars saying, "Nobody is home, come rob this place." 46. You know the system is broken when a statue signs for your delivery. A customer received a handed to resident notification while they were at work. Confused, they checked their doorbell camera. The driver had walked up, placed the package next to a decorative concrete garden gnome, and apparently decided that the gnome was the homeowner. He even took a picture of the statue accepting the package. Technically, I guess it was handed to a resident, just not a living one. 47. Nothing ruins a surprise quite like a delivery driver who refuses to use a shipping box. A dad ordered a massive, expensive Lego set for his son's birthday. The company just slapped a shipping label directly onto the Lego box. The driver dropped it off right when the kid was playing in the front yard. The surprise was instantly ruined, and the dad had to awkwardly explain why Santa Claus uses FedEx. It is just pure laziness that kills the magic of gift giving. 48. Let's discuss the address unknown mystery. A man has lived in the same house for 20 years. His house is clearly numbered. He gets bills there every day. Yet, for one specific package, the postal service marked it undeliverable, no such address. It is like his house simply ceased to exist in their database for 24 hours. He had to drive to the post office and point out his house on their own map just to prove he wasn't homeless. 49. Passive-aggressive notes usually come from bad neighbors, not federal employees. A resident had a car that broke down in their driveway, blocking the path to the mailbox slightly. Instead of walking 3 extra feet, the mail carrier skipped delivery for a week and eventually left a sticky note on the windshield saying, "Move this wreck or pick up your mail at the depot." It is a bold move to insult someone's vehicle while holding their utility bills hostage. 50. The informed delivery email is sometimes just a cruel tease. You get the daily email with a scan of a check you have been waiting for, maybe a tax refund or a paycheck. You rush to the mailbox, excited. The box is empty. The check doesn't show up for another week. It turns out the scan just means, "We saw this at the plant," not "We are bringing it to you." It creates a roller coaster of hope and financial panic that nobody needs. 51. We expect deliveries to the door, not through the bathroom window. A woman was shocked to find a padded envelope inside her bathroom sink. The window had been cracked open barely 3 inches for ventilation. The driver, seeing the locked gate, apparently channeled his inner quarterback and threaded the needle perfectly through the tiny gap from the street. It was an impressive display of aim, but finding a package next to your toothbrush is a massive invasion of privacy. 52. You have to admire the audacity of delivering an empty bag. A customer received a plastic shipping mailer that had been ripped wide open. There was absolutely nothing inside. But wait, it gets better. The post office had stamped the empty plastic bag with "received in damaged condition" and delivered it anyway. They literally delivered a piece of trash to his door just to say, "Yeah, we lost your stuff, but here's the wrapper it came in." 53. Driving a delivery truck requires skill, or at least eyes. A homeowner heard a loud crunch and looked outside to see the mail truck backing directly into his parked sedan. The driver stopped, checked the mirror, realized what he did, and then, instead of coming to the door, he just drove away. He didn't leave a note. He didn't leave insurance info. He just committed a felony hit and run to avoid an awkward conversation. The Ring camera footage, however, was crystal clear. 54. There is a special level of frustration reserved for the pick-up at depot runaround. You get a slip, so you go to the post office. They look in the back and say, "Oh, the carrier still has it on the truck." You go home. The carrier drives by but doesn't stop. You go back to the post office the next day. They say, "We can't find it." It is like the package enters a quantum state where it exists everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. 55. Ordering tires online seems convenient until they decide to roll them. A customer watched from the window as the delivery driver opened the back of the truck and just pushed 4 brand new tires out onto the driveway. The driveway was on a hill. 1 tire stayed put, but the other 3 took off like they were in a race. The driver just watched them roll into the street and down the block without moving a muscle. It was pure chaos in slow motion. 56. The drive-by honk is a technique used by drivers who have zero intention of getting out of their seat. A resident was home all day, waiting. Suddenly, they heard a quick honk from the street. By the time they got to the window, the truck was driving away. The tracking status immediately updated to access blocked. The driver literally just honked to announce he was skipping the house. It is the delivery equivalent of waving at someone while you run them over. 57. There is a specific kind of terror reserved for the midnight creeper. A homeowner woke up at 11:30 p.m. to see a dark figure with a flashlight lurking on their porch. Thinking it was a burglar, they almost called 911 until they saw the figure drop a box and run away. It was an Amazon Flex driver working the graveyard shift in a plain hoodie. Delivering packages in the dead of night without a uniform is a great way to get the police called on you, or worse. 58. We have all heard of porch pirates, but what about squirrel pirates? A customer kept losing small packages of nuts and snacks. He blamed the neighbors. He blamed the driver. Then he set up a camera. The video showed the delivery driver placing the package down, and 10 seconds later, a squirrel dragging the entire envelope up a tree. The driver isn't technically at fault, but maybe don't leave the bag of almonds right next to the squirrel's living room. 59. We all know the unofficial motto: neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night. Well, apparently that motto has a disclaimer for mild drizzle. A customer complained that their mail service was suspended for 3 days because of hazardous weather conditions. The hazard? It was raining lightly. The roads were clear, the schools were open, but apparently the local post office decided that a few drops of water were enough to shut down the entire federal mail system for the zip code. 60. There is no heartbreak quite like receiving a university diploma in the mail. The envelope had "Do Not Bend" stamped in giant red letters on both sides. It was rigid. It was cardboard. And yet the mail carrier saw this as a personal challenge. They managed to fold the stiff cardboard envelope not once, but twice, to wedge it into a tiny mailbox slot. The graduate opened it to find their degree looking like an accordion. Years of hard work crumpled in 2 seconds. 61. Sometimes the handed to resident status is straight out of a horror movie. A tracking update claimed the package was handed directly to a resident at the front door. The problem? The delivery address was a funeral home, and the recipient was the night security guard who wasn't there. Unless the driver handed the package to a ghost or propped it up against a coffin, there is absolutely no way that transaction happened. It is the creepiest falsified record imaginable. 62. Privacy goes out the window when shipping companies decide to save money on packaging. A guy ordered a very specific, embarrassing medical cream for a rash. He paid for discreet shipping. The package arrived in a completely transparent plastic bag, hanging on his front doorknob for the entire neighborhood to see. The driver didn't just deliver the medicine. He broadcast the customer's medical history to every person walking their dog on that street. 63. The parcel locker system is great until logic fails completely. A resident received a notification that their package was in a secure locker, and the key was in their mailbox. They opened the mailbox, found the key, opened the locker, and found another key. The driver had locked the package in locker A, put the key to locker A inside locker B, and put the key to locker B in the mailbox. It was like a terrible escape room game just to get a pair of sneakers. 64. We have to talk about the boomerang package. A woman sent a return item back to a retailer. A week later, it arrived back at her house. She crossed out her address, circled the retailer's address, and sent it again. A week later, it was back on her porch. This went on for a month. The sorting machine was so obsessed with her address that it refused to let the package leave. She essentially entered a long-distance relationship with a box she was trying to break up with. 65. Driving by a house and throwing a package is bad, but hitting the customer is a lawsuit waiting to happen. A man was doing yard work when he felt a sharp pain in his back. The delivery driver had tossed a heavy box of books out the window of the moving truck, treating the customer like a moving target. The driver didn't even stop to see if he knocked the guy over. He just kept driving. It brings a whole new meaning to door-to-door hitting. 66. You would think a time traveler works for the post office based on some tracking updates. A customer checked their app at 10 a.m. and it said, "Delivered at 2 p.m." They spent the next 4 hours living in the past, waiting for the future to happen. When 2 p.m. actually rolled around, nothing arrived. The driver had pre-scanned the entire route while sitting in the parking lot to boost his efficiency metrics, completely breaking the concept of linear time. 67. There is a special place in the Hall of Shame for drivers who deliver to open vehicles. A contractor was working at a house and left his pickup truck bed open. The delivery driver tossed the homeowner's package into the back of the contractor's truck instead of on the porch. The contractor drove away, unknowingly kidnapping the package. The homeowner had to chase down a random construction crew across town just to retrieve their blender. 68. Sometimes safe place means most destructive place possible. A driver decided the safest place for a package was directly behind the rear tire of the customer's SUV in the driveway. It was perfectly hidden from thieves, but also perfectly hidden from the driver's rearview mirror. The customer got in their car, backed out, and heard a sickening crunch. They essentially ran over their own birthday present because the driver set a trap instead of making a delivery. 69. Let's end with the ultimate betrayal. The fake delivery photo scam. A customer got a notification that their new gaming console was delivered, complete with a photo of the box on their porch. They opened the door 5 seconds later, no box. They checked the security camera and saw the driver put the box down, take the photo as proof, and then immediately pick the box back up, carry it to the truck, and steal it. It is the absolute peak of criminal innovation, using the company's own technology to document the theft. Unbelievable. Let's settle this right now. If a driver hides your expensive package inside your garbage can to protect it from thieves, and then the garbage truck comes and crushes it, who is actually to blame? Is the driver an idiot, or is it your fault for not checking the trash fast enough? Be honest. Tell me who owes who money in the comments. And if your mail survived today, drop a like and subscribe.